education is often identified through their work with high school conference and Philgrad, a lot of their work is often behind the scenes. How do you plan to bring the presence of education to the general body in the times between these events?
Like I mentioned before, we do have like the resource of Soarboard, and Soarboard is such a big resource that is often overlooked. It's even found in EOP itself, where they have their own tutors there. And with that, I want to be able to get more research from not just Soarboard itself, but GBMers and ask them what exactly do they want to learn. It's something that when we have our Soarboard meetings on Saturdays, we discuss what reports we want to do for those weeks or what workshops we want to work on. And sometimes making those decisions can be very isolating, especially if it's not something most GBMers are interested in. And getting more outreach for people actually a part of the org and not just in an executive position, it allows us to be more inclusive towards those outside of just the direct grouping. Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Okay.
Just the last part.
How do you plan to bring the presence of education to the general body in times between these events?
I want to work on putting more workshops, even though there's a lot of like HSC and even though HSC is such a big thing and Philgrad is such a big thing, we also have FG as well as FACN, and that can take up a lot of time, especially as someone who was a stage manager for that. It can take a lot of outside commitment. So I would want to do something that's more decompression sessions for that, especially for those who are really stressed out with FACN or really stressed out with their commitment to FG, and just allow them to have that break and still be included in that educational space. Because like I said, education isn't just the classes we take, but also the other life skills we learn. For me, a lot of things that help me relax is like crochet, and some people don't really know how to learn that by themselves. So having someone there to help motivate and tutor them towards that, it can help build a more educational resource as well as motivate people to avoid burnout. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With such big events like HSC and FOCA, the planning process can often feel incredibly personal. This is the first year that this is a co-chair position. How do you plan on implementing the ideas that you've discussed in your speech while still collaborating and taking into consideration the ideas of your co?
Thank you for that question, Sid. This is one of the questions that I did really think about a lot, especially after finding out from Constitutional Review that this position would be a co-position. When I first heard about Sid's position and the first time I did Soarboard and she talked about it, my initial thought was, I could do that. I could totally handle all of that by myself. But from doing stage managing and working with my co-Erin, it made me realize that some things aren't easier when you work by yourselves, but actually working with someone else. And there was a lot of times where I would feel the burnout, so I would rely on Erin because, as FACN has taught us, I will hold you up and I will not let you fall. And it's very much a situation where even though I have my own ideals, it is something to like cooperate and talk about, because though I may have an idea for something, we might be able to improve upon it more if we have a conversation about it, especially if it's something that's like really stressful. We're able to turn to each other to work on that. Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Just the question.
Yeah.
How do you plan on implementing the ideas that you've discussed in your speech while still collaborating and taking into consideration the ideas of your co?
I mentioned SOAR earlier, and I'm going to bring it up again because I do think it is such a big resource. And just because education now is a co-position, it's not like it was a single position by itself. Education also had the support of Soarboard, and with HSC and with Philgrad, I want to be able to work more with not just my co, but also Soarboard in order to just help plan and not put too much stress on ourselves, especially since education is such a big role and we have other responsibilities such as being a student. Thank you.
Are you ready for your last question? One of your major responsibilities is chairing the SOAR board. There's been a tendency in the past for people that sign up for SOAR to be included in a plethora of other commitments. How do you plan on ensuring that your SOAR board meets its full potential while also acknowledging the mental and physical health of your members?
As someone who was part of SOAR board this year, thank you for the question, Olivia. But as someone who is part of SOAR board this year, there were a lot of other responsibilities that I took on as well. And sometimes it could be really draining. There were times where I had to miss out on some meetings, and I acknowledge that like moving forward, there are times like I don't want to overwhelm sword board. That's why it's going to very much be a more split up decision where it's not just focusing on teaching others, but also teaching yourself to be able to take those breaks. Those decompression sessions that I want to host, I don't want them to just be made for GBMers, but also made for swordboard itself. Because like I said, as a group and as a community, we all have a lot of extra responsibilities and a lot of people take on a lot at once. And I want to be able to make sure that they're able to not just help out the community with what they're responsible to do, but also help themselves in a way to make sure that they're able to learn how to take a break and how to work through those difficult situations. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Just the question?
Yeah.
How do you plan on ensuring that your swordboard meets its full potential while also acknowledging the mental and physical health of your members?
Something that I really like Sid did through our swordboard stuff is always having a check-in at the very end. We would do a rose, a bud, and a thorn, and we'd also do like temperature checks, and I felt like that was really helpful, especially with those who necessarily didn't really have someone to talk to directly, but able to kind of acknowledge where they're at and where we can move from there. What I would want to do more is maybe put it in near the middle-ish, so we're able to discuss steps forward from that. So if someone's temperature check is below 4 or something and they're feeling very low, we're able to take away some of the responsibility and hold them up and make sure they're able to take care of themselves before having to take care of others, because you can't pour into a vase if you're empty, kind of thing. So yeah, thank you.